Hello, everyone. My name is Sinisha, and I'm from University of Novi Sad. And I'm going to present you the pilot number 4, upgrading support call centers through AI-based revision of multimodal dialogues. My idea is not to give you so much technical details, but just to give a top overview of our pilot for all the guests that are not the part of this project. So I'm a young parent, or at least I have young children. I'm not young anymore. But in parenting, as in any other stuff that you're doing for the first time, there are many situations when you need help, you need some advice. And some of these situations could be very stressful. One of the first for me was the time when I had to change the diaper at 5 a.m. But I survived, as you can see. You can prepare for this. I knew that this is expecting me. Go to YouTube, find the link, see what's the procedure, and okay, you can do it. But later on, the situations gets more stressful and more critical. And I'm going to give you one situation that happens when my first daughter was 5 months old. She was laying on the bed, and we were preparing to go out. And I was pretty sure that 5-year baby, Sofia, couldn't turn from her back to her tummy. And I went to the living room to take my jacket. And that didn't finish quite well because I heard boom. And she started screaming. What happened? She fell from the bed. Fortunately, she stopped screaming after 2 or 3 minutes, but me and my wife, we were out of our minds. What should we do? Did she fell on her head? Should we go to the clinical center? And then at that moment, we realized that there is a service in Serbian called Halo Veba. I suppose that the parents from Serbia have already heard for this, and we decided to call this center. Unfortunately, at the moment, we had to wait a bit, so our stress level was again increasing. But this is the service that you can talk to actual human person, medical staff that will give you some basic advice about some different situations with babies and small children. And they really explain us all the steps, what should we take care in next hour or two. And then they explain us that we don't need immediately to go to hospital, just to check if some other details or other symptoms will be there later. So when we developed this pilot, or developed the idea of this pilot, this was some kind of motivation. We wanted to AI to make the work of this center even better. So the idea is when you are calling the center, that right away someone will answer. In this way, in our pilot, it should be an agent, so a dialogue system. The basic idea is that this dialogue system tries to collect some information about the patient, or in this case, the baby status. But as you know, giving some medical advices is could be pretty in a bad situation regarding legal and other ethical guidelines. So our idea for this system is not to give the exact advice, but just to collect the necessary data while we are waiting for human agent this call to be transferred to. And then when the transfer from the caller is from the system is made to the human agent, that the human agent can see the dialogue summary, so that he can already see the most basic information from this dialogue. So how old is the child? what were the symptoms, have the parent already induced some actions, and so on and so on. Why the Eloquent as a project and why its partners are important to our use case? First, because you already heard a couple of presentations and approaches about which can be applied to develop the dialogue systems, or in this case, LLMs that should lead the conversation. It's important, as I said, because Eloquence promotes the ethical usage of AI, as I already told, giving medical advices, and especially giving medical advices for a small baby is problematic. And for this reason, because I think that at the beginning, Jordi talked about ethical importance, so we don't want to be in a situation that the system gives wrong information. But I'm talking for my experience. If the system asks me something and I'm feeling that conversation is going, that some is being collected, in that particular situation, it would decrease the amount of stress that I've had at that moment. Also, one additional important aspect is the multilingual support, because Serbian is rather under-resourced language. The situation with the amount of speech and text data is getting something better in the last year, in the last couple of months, with some new data sets that are being published. But for example, we are talking about dialogues. There are no existing dialogue data sets for Serbian, especially for the use case that we are trying to implement. And I hope that I didn't break any rule about using the Eloquence logo with this small painting of mine. Okay, so this is a brief overview of the actions that we plan for this pilot. So the first is analyzing the actual problem and collecting the data set and labeling. So we already started the process of recording some dialogues. They are semi-scripted because it's the talks with the parents and talk with the medical nurses, but they specified the theme before the talk, and they specified some main points that should be discussed during this conversation. And I'm really glad that the medical nurses that are helping us with this are present at this workshop. After we collect this data and label them properly, we then proceed with the development of dialogue components, and this is something that we expect the help from the other partners. It was this meeting, these 2 days were quite helpful because we saw the insights from the other partners, and we already have some ideas to partners which we could talk to for implementing or helping us to create the model that can lead this dialogue. And of course, eventually there is a part of evaluation of our data set. Ben already talked something about T metrics. So we want to have computable measures for that can help us to measure the success rate of our system. But we think, and I think that someone, maybe it was Ben, I can't remember, talked yesterday that still the human judgment is the gold standard for this. So eventually the idea is when the appropriate LLM or dialogue manager is being implemented, that we need to include humans that will score the overall conversation quality. Okay, so this is currently some top level overview of our system. We have these front-end parts. These are ASR and TTS, and maybe we think that regarding the pure ASR and TTS, this can be handled for Serbian more or less easily. But then the central part of the system is dialogue management. And since the project is dedicated to LLMs, we think that LLM-driven dialogue management should be the core of the system. But yesterday and even today, we see that there could be some combined procedures for training, not just using the output of ASR, so the pure text, but that we could use speech encoded and then using these inputs to LLMs. Besides the LLM, there could be some additional blocks which could help the main one. One is could be based on information retrieval, because in parallel with creating these dialogues, we are also started creating a small Q&A pairs for this particular domain. And maybe in Dialog Manager, some data from this Q&A database could be used to drive the dialogue flow. Of course, there is another potential block which could detect the severity of the call, the severity of situation, and in the situation when there are more parallel calls and all of them are waiting to be switched to the human agent, that the one with the highest priority should be the one that is being transferred to human agent. And of course, this text summarization, this is a mandatory part of the system, because we said that at the end of dialogue with the machine, this result should be shown to the actual human agent, so that it doesn't need to collect all of this information afterwards. Okay, it's usual situation works for a couple of minutes and then it doesn't work. Okay, but okay. So this is just some idea what can be used, but again, this should not be used for giving advice, but just for creating the new appropriate question. So what are some potential from this pilot for other areas? Because we see some potential. Okay, we are developing the pilot for specific baby healthcare, but we think that some insights that we get from developing this pilot can be used for other more or less similar areas, such as similar call center for elderly care, or also for some pharmaceutical questions as well. Okay, so these are some other areas, but these couple are quite similar to the ones that we are investigating. But if you are looking at some brighter picture, like some other medical emergencies or police or firefighters, there are similar dialogue flows as we see. Then maybe this could be transferred to the system. This system could transfer to these areas as well. So I try to be as brief as possible. Are there any questions for me at the moment?
Yeah, I just have one very important issue to resolve. If I'm correct, you're 37 years old, right?
Yes.
Then you're 2 years younger than me, and you said you're old. Now, should I be offended?
No, it's just my point of view, because I'm above 35 and I declare myself now I'm closer to 40 than to 30, so I'm 40 already. So okay, I will now switch to the question for our pilot, and if there are no other questions, I would like to be a Ben for a second. Ben, don't be offended. Sorry.
Can I ask something real quick?
Sorry?
Can I ask something?
Yes.
Right. So as I understand it, the pilot has has language recognition and maybe also emotion recognition, and it has retrieval of information that you have from elsewhere, and that has already been covered also in the other pilots. But the determination of what level of emergency, wouldn't that be a completely different system? How would that come out of the technology that does the other things?
Yeah,
Can you repeat the question?
okay, I think Helga, I don't see the
Yes.
screen, she asked,
It's me.
because this system for detecting the emergency, as I mentioned, should be this completely different system. So when I was presenting this part, I said this is not the mandatory part of the system. This could be another module. And yeah, basically this could be so totally independent module that's based on conversation flow, decides what and gives some grade how important or how the situation is being emerged for being transferred to the caller. So yeah, this can be handled by a completely different system. And as I said, it's not the mandatory part of the system. So we see that it's something just which could help.
Because it's definitely something that would be of importance to the legal and ethical question about how, like, what kind of things the system has been able to do.
Of course, we will keep this in mind. Thank you.